Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Comedic Pedro, 1964. As you can see, I'm wearing a Batman t-shirt. The original Batman TV series aired between 1966 and 1968, so this would be jumping ahead a couple years. But since I'm wearing the shirt, I'll talk briefly about it. And I remember very well when it first started airing. I was 6 years old in '66, and I was all excited. I remember, and this had, of course, it had Batman was played by Adam West, and his sidekick Robin by Burt Ward. And it was a funny show. You know, they'd have the fight scenes. They would have like the words "pow" would appear on the screen. Pow, smack, bam, and and Batman was wearing like tights. He was wearing these like purple tights, and Robin would say, "Holy something or other, Batman," and Robin seemed to be kind of angry and agitated. Anyway, when it first started airing, I remember when you're a little boy, you're often close with your mother generally, and I was close with my mom, and I was all excited. I was watching it, and I remember it was airing one day, and I wanted my mom to watch it, and she was very busy. But I remember she came and watched it for a while, and she didn't like it. Oh, and I was so disappointed because I wanted her to like it. But she said, "Oh, it's corny." Of course, I was 6 years old. It was probably made for little boys, and so that was a childhood disappointment. You can see I had a really good childhood of that. That was one of my disappointments. My mother didn't. Of course, she was 40 years old, and she, really the big age gap. Now, on the cover for today is a photograph of from the Andy Griffith Show, which aired from 1960 to 1968. So in 1964, excuse me, it was in the middle of their 8-year run. What a wonderful program, and it's still, I think the reruns, I'm sure, are still on because they're so heartwarming, funny, and simple and good-natured, and it's wholesome. Yeah, of course, Andy Taylor, Sheriff Andy Taylor, is this sheriff in this small town of Mayberry, North Carolina. And he's played by Andy Griffith, and he's a good guy. He's such a nice fella. He's a good fella. He has a sense of humor and smiles easily. But he's conscientious, doing his work. Of stamping out crime and what little crime there is, doing his work in this town. And good fella, and you can tell he's a very good character. But he's very, very patient. And then his sidekick is Barney Fife, the character Barney Fife, played by Don Knotts, and he really makes the show because he's this he tends to be kind of arrogant, but he screws up all the time. Andy won't let him have a bullet in his gun because he's worried he'll have an accident. So Barney's always, but he's a good guy. He does his best, and Andy's very patient with him. Yeah, so they're a wonderful comedic pair, those two. Because Barney's always, acting. Like I said, acting, exerting his authority, his power. That he's the deputy, and but really bungling and real funny guy. They're a tremendous pair. Of course, Opie is the son. Now Andy's is widowed in the show. He has no wife. He has a number of I think he has one or two lady interests, girlfriends that he's dating and who appear from time to time. His son Opie was played by Ron Howard, who eventually was an actor in Happy Days when he got older in the 70s, and became a famous movie director. Movie producer, director, and up till now, done in a lot of really fine movies. Now the homemaker is this Aunt Bee, who's she's a nice lady. She keeps the home, does the cooking and takes care of the home and lives there with Andy and Opie, and so it's a wonderful show. The spinoff was Gomer Pyle, USMC. Gomer was one of the characters in the show. And of course, the opening song, "The Fishing Hole," which is whistled, where Andy is walking with Opie to go fishing. And nice simple pleasure. And Opie throws a stone into the water. A wonderful TV show. And Still, yeah, and I remember I moved to my father's hometown, Marion, Ohio, population about 50,000, for about 4 months in 2008, and I think it was part of this influence of this show because it was such a the small town, and I thought, oh, it'd be nice to live in a small town where people are friendly, nice community. So the Andy Griffith Show. Now, some of the events from 1964, January 9th, U.S. President Lyndon Johnson gave his speech, War on Poverty speech, which was a part of his efforts as a Democratic Party to provide welfare benefits and food stamps and aid to the poor. January 15th, Willie Mays signed his contract with the San Francisco Giants, $105,000 a year, highest paid player in baseball. January 16th, the musical Hello, Dolly opened in New York City. January 17th, Roald Dahl's book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, was published. Yeah, wonderful book. Roald Dahl, tremendous author of children's books. Yeah, my son, Tim, he read this in school growing up. February 7th, the Beatles arrived in New York City to go on tour, and there was Beatlemania in America. Young Americans were going crazy for the Beatles. February 11th, Greeks and Turks were fighting on the island of Cyprus in the eastern Mediterranean in Europe. February 25th, Cassius Clay defeated Sonny Liston in Miami, Florida, to become heavyweight boxing champion of the world. Yeah, so that was a big deal. I think they have the most famous boxer, certainly of my lifetime. February 27th, Italy, the country of Italy, asked for help because they were worried the Leaning Tower of Pisa might fall over. It's tilted to the side, and they needed some engineering help. March 6th, Cassius Clay changed his name to Muhammad Ali because he became a Muslim, black Muslim, and this kind of shocked people. Like, whoa, what's this? And that was part of a number of African Americans who adopted Islam in their efforts to spiritual efforts. March 15th, Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor got married for the first time. Yeah, my mother was big. Yeah, she really admired it. Elizabeth Taylor was her heroine. And these two, Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor, they were married maybe 4 times, both famous movie stars. April 10th was the demolition of the Polo Grounds in New York City, the longtime home of the New York Giants baseball team. Of course, by '64, they had moved to been long gone in San Francisco, and there was a new stadium built for the new team there, the Mets. Okay, so that was the end of an era of the Polo Grounds. April 13th, Sidney Poitier became the first African American to win an Academy Award for the movie Lilies of the Field. Poitier was actually Bahamian, but so that was a big deal. April 17th, Shea Stadium opened in Flushing, New York, the home of the new home of the New York Mets, who had replaced. New York had lost 2 teams. The Brooklyn Dodgers had moved to Los Angeles, and the Giants to San Francisco, but they did get one team, the Mets. So they had their new baseball stadium, Shea Stadium. April 17th, Tanganyika and Zanzibar joined to form the country of Tanzania in East Africa. July 2nd, Lyndon Johnson was able to get the Civil Rights Act passed, abolishing racial segregation. So this was a big part of the important era in the civil rights movement for fighting for equal rights for African Americans. On August 27th, just a moment here, I'm getting a little disorganized. No, I'm okay, everything's fine. Okay, on August 27th, Walt Disney's Mary Poppins movie had its world premiere in Los Angeles, California. And apparently that movie became Disney's biggest moneymaker. What a wonderful movie, Mary Poppins, right, with this actress Julie Andrews. And September 17th, the movie Goldfinger, James Bond, opened in London, England. On September 26th, Gilligan's Island TV show premiered on CBS television. I remember I enjoyed that show growing up. October 14th, Martin Luther King won the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts in the civil rights movement. Wonderful. On October, the following day, Nikita Khrushchev was ousted as the leader of the Soviet Union and replaced by Leonid Brezhnev. October 21st, the film version of My Fair Lady premiered in New York City. Okay, and October 31, Lyndon Johnson gave a speech. This was during the American presidential campaign. He made his Great Society pledge that he was going to create a great society. November 3rd, it was the election, and Lyndon Johnson won big, the Democratic nominee against Barry Goldwater, the Republican nominee. This one author said that Goldwater was like an Old Testament prophet who was ignored, like the ancient Israelites ignored their prophets often to their own downfall. The American people ignored Goldwater, who was, they called him this prophet from the Arizona desert. December 6th, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was a 1-hour animated movie that premiered on NBC. Been a long-time favorite at Christmas for people. On December 27th, here in Cleveland, Ohio, the Cleveland Browns defeated the Baltimore Colts 27-0 in the NFL championship game. Cleveland's last NFL title, and then last title until the Cleveland Cavaliers won in the NBA title in 2016. Okay, now talking about my family, my father, both my parents turned 40 years old in 1964, and they were busy people, good people. My father was doing very well, working hard. They both had a lot of energy. Of course, they were still 40, which you should have. I don't think I ever had as much energy as my parents. But my dad, did real well. He worked hard as a lawyer in Cleveland. And, my mom was raising these 4 kids. And they both were heavily involved in community service. And there's still the Lake Erie Nature and Science Center in Bay Village. We used to go out there, and because it was there, my father had helped to get going by raising money for the original building. And it's still there. It's real nice. They have animals and so forth. We used to go there for these summer camp programs. So my parents were both very busy, and my mother was in the PTA, the Parent Teacher Association. She was very involved in that and helping support the public schools in Rocky River. So we were going to vacations in March, Easter vacations from school. There'd be time off we'd go to Florida. We're going to Florida in March to get a break from the winter weather. Now, my older brother Mark turned 12. He was in grade 5 in Kensington, getting toward the bigger kids. Yeah, and he was a good student playing the violin. And we had this nice walk to school back and forth, not too far away. And again, we went home. Well, Mark, Pam, and Patty were coming home from school for lunch. Rocky River Park was across the way, and Mark was getting into Little League Baseball by this time. He was a good player. Yeah, he was a pitcher. And Mark, at one point, he had something. He had gone to the eye doctor or something, and he had these eye drops, and he had to pitch a Little League game, and it caused a problem. But Mark was a good student, had his friends there, and he was living his life. Pamela was a year behind him. She was 10, although like a year and a half younger. She was in grade 4. Again, they were rivals, Mark and Pam. Sibling rivalry. Both, and my parents were. They were high achieving people, and they expected us to achieve, and we all got high grades. And so Mark and Pam were both trying to please our parents, and by doing well in school. And again, Pamela had this strong personality, and my mom would have a clash of wills. My mom and Pam, and Mark and Pam would. She was a real good person. And Patricia was age 7, and in the early part of the year, up until June, she was in kindergarten, according to my calculations. When Mark and Patty seemed to bond. And when Mark would come home from school, I think before Patty was in school, she said that they would sit in the front step. Mark and Patty enjoyed. Pam and Patty had a room. Pamela and Patricia shared a bedroom on the second floor of our home, next to our parents' room. And like I said before, it had a painting on the wall, pretty cool painting of our mother made of ballerinas. So Patty was in kindergarten, at least, and of course now as we talk about these years, you have the first part of the year, up until June, you're in a 1 grade level, and then there's summer, and then there's a 2nd grade level. But to make things a little simpler, we're just talking about the first part of the year. So Patty was in kindergarten, half day, which for us, I'm not sure if it was morning or afternoon, And yeah, she used to say that she didn't like recess in school because the kids would go out. And to be honest, it can be pretty intimidating with these when kids are playing and kind of aggressive, and they have the monkey bars. Nowadays, it's nice to have like wood chips or more of a soft surface in these playgrounds. Otherwise, you can get hurt falling off the monkey bars. I was 4 years old, so I was still at home. I know my mom. I think the other kids went to nursery school by age 4, and my mom put me in nursery school for a day, supposedly, reportedly, according to the story, and she missed me. So I was the youngest, and she was used to having kids at home, and I guess when she did this, she was alone in the home, so she took me out of nursery school and kept me at home. She used to apologize for that. I guess she felt it would have helped my development, but I don't think it really mattered. So I was 4 years old, and I remember, and I have a vague memory of the 1964, maybe it's my imagination, NFL title game. We had this we had a color TV in the basement, I believe by this time, or around this time. And then we had this and then there was the old black and white TV, and I think we had it up on the third floor where, well, eventually I may have been staying with Mark by this time. We had bunk beds on the third floor, and eventually, I think by this time, maybe Pam moved it was around this time, Pam moved into her own room, which was the baby room, next to my parents' room, and then that meant I was upstairs in the bunk beds on the top bunk. And it had stairs. No, not stairs. A ladder. And I thought it was kind of cool. I'd go up there. My brother Mark would push up on with his feet up on the springs by the mattress on the higher bed, pushed me up and down, and it was kind of fun. And he had this little plastic thing that was like a skeleton arm that he stuck underneath the springs facing from the bottom bed looking up, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I remember, he at the other end of the room where he had his desk, it was kind of a long room, he had his desk, and he'd be studying with this fluorescent lamp. I remember he had like a slide rule studying, and I'd be in bed. Of course, my parents were very strict about bedtimes. You had to go to bed. It reminded me, and I remember in summertime, I'd be, my memory is like when I was like 7, I had to be in bed by 7. And I remember summertime, it doesn't get dark till 9, and here I'd be in bed, kids outside playing. It's kind of reminds me of a Simpsons episode scene where that same thing happens, where Ned Flanders is taking care of Bart and Homer's kids, and he puts them to bed real early. So 4 years old, and I remember vaguely about, I think maybe I'm imagining, the Browns NFL playoff game. I was only 4.5 when it was played, but so I was still at home, and I was 4, and I remember seeing books in the home, opening books and seeing the writing, think, oh, look at this, and my parents would have these parties and stuff once from time to time, and I told you this before. So anyway, we were that was our family, good people. My mom and dad, real busy. Everyone was busy and achieving and getting things done. Working, and we had a milk chute. We had milk delivered by the milkman, and orange juice was delivered, and also potato chips were delivered weekly. This Charles chips, this like a metal can was like yellow with little brown dots. My memory, those were all delivered. The milk, and you put when you had your milk, you'd finish a milk bottle. There were glass bottles. And they were delivered, so you didn't have to go to the grocery store, and you put the empty milk bottle in the milk chute. The milkman would come, and he'd put the new milk in the milk chute, and then get the old milk bottle, the empty bottle. So that's how they used to do it. And I think also orange juice. This milk chute, which was by the back door, this little, you could open it from the inside of the house and put your empty there, and then he'd come, and whenever he'd be there, and he'd put the milk there. Of course, in summertime, hopefully somebody was home to put the milk in the refrigerator soon, so it wouldn't spoil. So that was the milk chute. And when sometimes we'd be locked out of the house, and my mom would say, "Peter, you need you to go through the milk chute." I don't know, definitely couldn't do that now. I was skinny. I was skinny. I was skinny enough to get through the milk chute into the house and then open the door for my mom. So that's the story of 1964. We had a good family. God bless John Ray, Ruth Ray, and Mark, my older brother Mark Ray, Pamela, who's who died many years ago, and my sister Patricia. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.